This is also a good time to do a visual inspection on the elevator system. Global utilizes an 11-flight elevator system. Inside we have 2 belts. They're 2 rubber and Kevlar impregnated belts with 8 cables inside of those belts that help minimize stretching. You still do need to do a visual inspection and make sure that they aren't stretching. The actual tension specification according to the book would be that you should get about 2 inches of play when you pull on this at 60 pounds of pull. Ultimately is what that means is that your belts are loose when it's at an idle position and the rubber is touching the floor in the back. If that's already happening before it's rotating, your belts are loose. At that point, we would take it to the shop and we would allow them to do a tension adjustment off of the screws from each side. Something else we want you to check is the sprockets. Let's make sure that we don't have any dirt, debris, wire, cassette tape, anything that can get caught up in the elevator system wound in those sprockets at the beginning of the day. If something like that happens, we need to get that cleaned out because it would cause premature failure on the sprockets or the belts themselves. Next, take a look at your aluminum flights. We do realize that when you're out sweeping, there could be bricks or debris underneath of a pile of leaves that you don't know are there, and the aluminum flight can spin and hit one of those. If it does, it may cause that aluminum flight to get a bend in it or a break. Visually, take a look at that. One of the luxuries that we do have with an elevator system is that if one of those flights is bent beyond repair, we can remove it and still put the sweeper out and continue to sweep until it's in for other preventative maintenance. Take a look at your rubber squeegees. If these tips are wearing with a curve on the end, that probably means that they're making too much contact with the floor in the back and your belts could be loose as well. If you feel any kind of a vibration within the cab or any kind of an excessive vibration from within the cab, it's a good sign that the belts are loose or possibly that the bolts that are attaching the flight to the belts are loose. You're going to notice that we do have 2 bolts that attach the flight to the cup on the belt. Let's make sure on occasion that we're checking those nuts. Let's make sure that they're tight. They can work themselves loose. Also, you're going to see 1 screw that's in the belt holding the cup on. We want to make sure that we check the nut on that as well and make sure that it stays tight. Once they are loose, if they're rotating, they can cause damage to the elevator system. As we continue to go around and do our pre-trip inspections, now is a good time to go ahead, burn your broom pattern with your gutter brooms. We do want to make sure that they're rotating at a proper speed. We want to make sure that we have the proper pattern burned from, on the right hand side, a 10 o'clock to a 3 o'clock pattern, and on the left hand side a 2 o'clock to a 9 o'clock pattern. We do want to make sure that we have proper tilt adjustment and make sure that we have the proper down pressure. Because at end of shift the day before, we did such a good job cleaning the elevator, it gives us the ability to inspect it the day of sweeping with the hopper raised. We're safe. The sprockets are clean, the belts are clean, the flights are clean, and the elevator is rotating the proper direction. From there we move down. Let's take a look at the center broom. We can see that the center broom is making contact with the ground when we burn a pattern. We want an even pattern burned on the pavement at roughly 5 to 6 inches, evenly all the way across. If we need to make any kind of a pressure adjustment, we'll show you in the next scene. So now that we've lowered the brooms, let them run and burn a pattern on the ground. I can see very clearly that we have a nice roughly 5-inch wide burn pattern at the center broom all the way across. The next thing that I'm going to inspect is the contact made by the side brooms as well. As you recall, we were looking to get close to that 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock pattern on the right side and the 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock pattern on the left side. We're very close. The last thing that I want to look at is that to the inside we see a bit of overlap with the strike pattern of the center broom. This will help to assure that we're not leaving that little trail because we have any kind of a space or gap. Now if you follow me over, for any reason, if we did need to adjust the down pressure of the center broom, either bringing it up or down, we do that on the opposite side of the cab entry of the sweeper. You'll see the spring here. The spring is actually pulling the weight of the broom back up. As this broom were to wear, it would adjust itself to the ground. At any point, if we wanted to increase pressure or decrease pressure, we use a tool like this on our adjustment screw. A counterclockwise turn would relieve pressure and lift the broom. A clockwise turn will add pressure to the broom.